Pride Month is quickly approaching, which means it's time for another round of the Queer Lit Readathon. Hi, I'm Alex, this is Pucksandpaperbacks, where I love to shout about queer and trans books, and yes, the Queer Lit Readathon is quickly approaching. If you haven't heard of the Queer Lit Readathon, this is my favorite readathon. It's hosted by my friend Kathy. Of course, I'll have links to her down below, as well as all the information about the readathon. For round 15, it's hosted throughout the whole month of June, and every round of the Queer Lit Readathon has reading prompts and a bingo board. Now, you don't have to use this, but if you would like to, that's what this video is for. Throughout this video, I'll be trying to recommend a book for every prompt. I don't have a recommendation for everything because there are some prompts that are up to your own interpretation, and there are some that I just don't have a recommendation for. As I go through the prompts, I'll also be sharing what's on my hopefuls for the readathon. The first prompt is outside. This is to read a book outside your comfort zone, a book set outside, or you could read a book outside if that's accessible for you. I'm going to recommend Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert because the majority of this book is set in the wilderness at a survival camp. This is a YA contemporary romance following two teens who are childhood friends and now enemies. Our female protagonist is more of the hater, and I love her for that. I highly recommend the audiobook of this because it is a dual POV, and I just loved the banter and chemistry between our two characters, and I think it fits perfectly for the outside prompt. For representation, there's bisexual rep, and Bradley, our male main character, has OCD. Next is Small Town Queers, and I have a few recommendations for this, starting with Man o' War by Corey McCarthy. This has a lot of trans joy and is following a trans Arab teen who discovers their gender identity while living in a small town. Highly recommend this book. Of course, Real Queer America by Samantha Allen would work here. It's a nonfiction following a trans woman who is a reporter, and she is going on a road trip to several red states and small towns, and she talks about the people who live there and the communities they've built. And my last recommendation is If It Makes You Happy by Claire Kahn. This reminded me so much of Gilmore Girls, so if you like the small town vibes of Gilmore Girls, specifically this book reminded me of the scene in Gilmore Girls where Rory is crowned the ice cream queen. So if you like that, highly recommend. It also talks about queer platonic relationships as we have asexual rep. Next, for Short and Sweet, if you're craving a cozy and sweet book with speculative fiction and just wanting to feel some hope at the moment, I highly recommend the duology A Song for the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers. This is a great series for a readathon, and I recommend the audiobook specifically if you can have access to them or they are accessible for you. I love this series so much. It has so much joy and sweetness. We're following a non-binary teen monk, Dex, who meets a robot, and it is just the cutest thing ever, and I love it a whole lot. For Short and Sweet, I'd also recommend the Tea Dragon Society series by Kay O'Neill. This is the sweetest series ever. I love it so much. Next, the guest for the Queer Lit Readathon this round is Wren, who is from Australia. And so we have the prompt to read an Australian author. And I actually have a bunch of recommendations for this, starting with Queens of Geek by Jen Wild. This is set at a convention. It has autistic rep, and I believe this also has bi rep. It's been a while since I've read it, but I highly recommend it. Speaking of bisexuals, Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez is the perfect bisexual book. It's a YA, and I love it so much because it talks about bi-erasure, and it is just so raw and a really important read, and I love it a lot. Highly recommend. And last, I'll recommend the novella Long Macchiatos and Monsters by Allison Evans. This is a T for T romance with disability rep. There's a character with a disfigured hand and a character who uses a prosthetic leg. I recommend this novella a lot, but I think it works perfectly for this readathon and this prompt, especially if you want to double up with Short and Sweet. It works perfectly here. Like I said, it's a T for T romance about two trans people who meet in a coffee shop and start to bond over their interests. I love it. I'd also like to recommend the graphic novel Stars in Their Eyes by Jessica Walton. This also has disability rep, and it's set at a convention. I'm hoping to read Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes. He is an Australian author, and this also will work for the prompt outside. Next is to read a book with a plus-sized main character. If It Makes You Happy would work here, but a trigger warning for fat phobia because it talks a lot about that, and it does have some conversation about dieting. And a new release that would work for this prompt is Recommended Reading by Paul Katya. This is also a sweet book. It's a YA rom-com set during the summer at a bookshop, and our main character is fat or plus sized. Next is to read a 2025 release. Recommended Reading would work here, but my recommendations are B. Mullins Takes a Shot by Emily Dubert. This is a middle grade. It's sapphic and it talks about girls hockey. And then I'm going to recommend The In Between Bookstore by Edward Underhill. This is his adult debut about a trans man approaching 30 who goes back to his small town, and he ends up going to the old bookstore that he worked at, and when he walks in, his high school self is there. I love this so much. It made me cry, and I highly recommend it for this prompt. Next is Alliteration. This is such a fun prompt. My recommendations are The Do's and Donuts of Love by Adiba Jagadar. This is a sapphic book about two girls who recently broke up and are competing on the first ever Irish Junior Bake Off show. If you haven't read it already, I recommend The Passing Playbook by Isaac Fitzsimons. It's about a trans boy who is on the soccer team at his school. He's stealth, and there's a law preventing him from playing. For myself, I'm hoping to read Time and Time Again by Chatham Greenfield. Next is One Time Author. So this is a book by an author you've only read once. For me, it's Raquel Marie, and I'm hoping to get to my arc of If We Survive This. It's a zombie apocalypse book, and it's pitched as Yellow Jackets. I'm so excited. Next is to read a banned book. I'll link a bunch of resources down below. I have a video where I read some. My friend Rachel, she has been doing amazing work, and she has a bunch of videos of people recommending their favorite or least favorite book that was banned. She also did a video where she reached out to authors, so those will be down below. I think this prompt is a great way for you to learn about what is going on in your own area and research what books are being banned near you and how you can help fight against banned books. I think you'll really be surprised to learn how much it's happening and which books are being affected. So here are some of my recommendations and what I'm hoping to read. I recommend Flamer by Mike Curato. This was my favorite book from that video. It is about a gay Filipino boy who is approaching high school and he wants to unalive himself. It's very dark, but I love this book so much and I highly recommend it. I'd also recommend the graphic novel The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. This is such a sweet graphic novel. It will make you sob. Flamer is the same way. A lot of people have told me they've read it and cried since I've recommended it. But this book is about a Vietnamese boy who wants to come out to his family and tell them he's gay, but they don't speak English and it is difficult for them to communicate. So he starts to talk to them through fairy tales. Oh my god, it's so sweet. I highly recommend it. For this prompt, I would like to read either Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron or the picture books Uncle Bobby's Wedding by Sarah S. Brannon and Lucia Soto, or Pride, The Story of Harvey Milk and the Rainbow Flag by Rob Sanders. For manga, if you liked Heartstopper, I have to recommend Blue Flag. This is the manga version of Heartstopper. It will give you those butterflies in your stomach, and I think it's such a sweet read. Or I'd also recommend Confessions of a Shy Baker. I read it last June and I really enjoyed it. It talks about rainbow capitalism in Japan and has a cute Achillean romance. Next is to read a book that starts with O. My recommendation is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez, which would work for that prompt to read a book by an Australian author. But I'd like to read One of the Boys by Victoria Zeller or Outfield Assist by Kat Geraldo. And last is Continued. You could continue the Psalm for a While Built series if you've read that. Or, like me, I'm going to try and continue the series A Darkness Outside Us. Those are all my recommendations and some of the books that are on my hopefuls for June. Let me know if you're participating in the readathon, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and leave a comment. It really helps me out when you do so. And don't forget to check my description description for all the information about the readathon, and go and subscribe to Kathy because she's awesome. If you would like to support me further, I have a Patreon. Thank you to my top patrons for their continuous support. The link is always down below. Patreon is the best way to support this channel, so thanks if you do. If you want to watch more, I will link another recommendation video here, and you can subscribe there. Bye.